Here is one of the leaning towers of textures, and I have a lot of different textures, and we're going to build in these little columns so that you guys can stack it. And you can put it against the wall so that when people walk by, they're seeing how it looks. Leaning tower of textures, and these are some of my supplies. You guys might have finished your 5 textures that you picked out. You should have 2 pieces of watercolor. You should have a pencil, a ruler, 2 ring rulers. I like to use both of these ring rulers because we're going to do a 5-inch circle, and we'll need the orange one and the small one too. Watercolor and your watercolor water. That can come later, but for right now, we are going to finish up our textures. I decided, and see how I'm going off of that line? That's okay. So I'm doing these like furry feather. I think I'm going to do my tower based on kind of like a dragon. I got these bumpy kind of scaly things going on. He goes in circle when he blows like fire. So I think that's how I'm going to build mine. So now I have my textures set, and now I'm going to go on to building my 2 5-inch circles. So I set my ring ruler to 5 and I snap it into place. There we go. And I place it on my paper. I'm going to place it all the way to the edge so it gives me room for the other stuff we have to do. Now I could go ahead and I can put 2 on this paper, or I could do it on a separate paper too. That one kind of got shaped funny, so let me try it one more time. I saw myself move. It's very hard sometimes, so you might have to help. Oh, that looks okay. So I have that. Now I have to do 2 other circles that are sized, because we're going to have one more that's at. Okay, now I'm on to our next paper, and I'm going to set my ring ruler to 4 inches. Now, if someone's using this one, the other person can be using the ring ruler, the smaller one, to do the 3 inches and a quarter. There's also 4 on here too. I believe you would go all the way, you know what? Nope, it goes just to 3 1/2. So this one, 3 1/4, is the next one. So just like 3 and 25 cents. There you go. So on this paper, I'm going to do one for 4 inches and one for 3 1/4. We'll put that aside. We have to help each other and share. Now I needed to do some rectangles for our tower part, and I'm going to do a 1 inch. I'm going to do 2 of them that are 1 inch. Then I'm going to do, that is the length of 2 inches. So here I go, 2 to 4, then 2 to 4 to 6. And I marked that from the edge of the paper. They're all going to be 5 inches long. So all to here. So I can draw that line right all the way to there. See how I'm laying my ruler straight against that paper? I'm going all the way to 5. I could mark 5 too. All the way to 5. Make sure my paper is all the way at the edge there. To 5 again. 5. So I have 1 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, and I'm going to connect these so they're all a straight line too. So now our next step would be to take our texture page, and we also have a cake round. So for this one, I'm going to pick out which one I like the best. And I think for this one, gosh, I don't know if I should make it like this grass or the scales or the mounds. I think I'll do that grass. Now see, the grass is kind of easy to draw, so what I would do is grab my permanent marker and do the grass first, or maybe because it's easy to do, or I can do big hills. I'll do big hills. This is going to be my texture for this one. And I also want to pick out what kind of hues do I want. Now my dragon, I think it's going to be, I'm going to base it on red colors, but you can do it on anything you want. Oh yeah, I like that as my scales. Now I'm going to finish doing all my textures, but every time I do a texture on one of these, I could go ahead and do it in the permanent marker too already, so I don't have to erase my lines afterwards. I'm also going to have to do it on here too. Now I could cut these out, but see how fun it is to go over my lines? Like, I just do it. Ew, those look like ugly hairs. Maybe this dragon has ugly hairs. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish this and I'll come right back. Before you're decorating your cake board, make sure you're using the flat side, not the glossy side. The glossy smooth side, the paint will not stick to. So always color on the side first. All right, now that I've finished, I've done all my textures, even on my cake board, and I just have to finish. I actually really liked doing it on this one instead of cutting them out and then tracing, because see how I can get really in there? Because if I cut it out and try doing that, I'd kind of be messy. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my columns, my rectangles. These are going to be my columns holding up each floor of my sculpture. These might have been better being cut out beforehand. And you can see there's pencil marks showing. I'm going to have to go back around with my eraser. And the reason, because if I put watercolor on top of it, pencil will never be able to be erased. So you always want to have that erased before starting your watercolor. Okay, now that we have everything, I have everything erased off my boards, my pencil marks, now we're going to start to watercolor. Now, as I was telling you guys, I was wanting to do mine kind of to tell a story about a dragon. So I have this one, and I could put this scales on top of this, so I want to kind of think about the order I want to put it in. So maybe on top of the scales, I would put these mountains, so this dragon lives in the mountains, so then this would be my next layer. And go with this one, and then I could say this one is my top one, or I could put it here in the middle, but I don't have one that matches it. And then I could put that he has like a hair, he goes through the fields, and then my last ones would be like after flying through the fields, maybe he gets really turny and twisty. So this is how I'm gonna keep my order. And like I said, I'm gonna keep my dragon maybe purplish on the bottom, purple red, and I'm going to make it into a really dark red and see how I do. Okay, so we to start out watercoloring. Oops, I don't want to mess up my order. So how can I put it and remember? Maybe like this and stack it. So I'm going to stack it the way I'm going to build it. I have my brush, I'm going to wet it a little bit. I'm going to start out with some red on there. I wish I had a bigger brush. I like big brushes because it covers a lot of area really quickly. I kind of want this to be just a little darker. Remember we said like to play with the red? My dragon is a pretty red dragon. She has a little bit of an anger issue sometimes, but she's learning how to keep calm in stressful times. So this board's kind of bending already a little bit. Oh, there's some nice dark red. I can put some dark reds in there. Now my board is bending a little bit, so I could put something on top of it, but I'm okay with it bending a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add some darks over here. A little bit of water. All right, see that board is already kind of bending, so we could put it underneath something or some weight, you know, put some weight on top of it. Like I don't even mind putting my like cup of water on there, so make it flat. Now my next pieces are going to be my one closest, and this one. So I'm going to try to match this one with the one I just painted. since I'm gonna fold mine up this way, I'm gonna keep my darker ones on the bottom here. Okay. This is going to be very hard for me to keep my red. I don't know about you guys, but I like to change a lot. So I'm going to go through all my colors and then I'll be right back and I'll show you guys what I decided to do. Now I'm on my last one. So I've been painting the back sides of my circles because I figure if I turn my sculpture over, someone's going to see that I didn't pay attention to the underside. So I was like, oh, I'll just paint the back side one color, which is red as my theme. Flip it over. And I'll do the other side. See how my paper is like really rolling up? And I'll show you my other papers. They're all rolling. Look at that. So I kind of want to put them underneath something so that they stay nice and flat. And I'll show you how to do that. There we go. And then my zigzag, last one. And this one I don't have to worry about the back side because you won't see it. We're going to twist these up to make columns. Alright, I want to add a little more color to this one. A little more red. And you could go in there with colored pencils or crayons if you wanted to add a little more. There we go. This one I like that I added black to it. Add a little more some places. Alright, after these are done, I'm going to show you guys, they're dry, I'm going to show you our next step for combining all of these together. So just make sure that you clean up. Just kidding. See, now my board's a little flatter. Make sure that you try to dry your circles in a flat area, like hold down them, or put something on top, and then we'll be right back. Alright, now that all the pieces are pretty much done drying, I finished making my cylinders. I'm going to place a piece of Scotch tape on them and make sure they're all made. So my cylinders, and I really can't remember which order I had them going in, but we're going to try it. My scales is my first, so I'm going to do my scales down first. Then I kind of want one of these big pieces to be the next one. I'm going to put my mountains down. I'm going to stack a column. Then I'm going to do this wavy light hill one. So I'll put this one on. This one's not dry all the way. And oh, you know what? That one I did not make one of these textures for. So I'm going to pick out one that I have a texture for. See how they're all wobbly? That's totally okay. The next is going to be this swirly one where the dragon gets dizzy. I'm going to stack my last piece. And now, oh, I kind of like that. It's a really big piece. So how am I going to stick this all together? Okay, so now I know my order. I'm going to take it off. Place everything, and then now I'm going to start to glue. So I'm going to give, my paper's a little crooked there, so I'm going to try to straighten that because that might be really hard to glue down. So now I have a flat surface and I have flat on both. I'm going to put mine right here, and I'm just going to put a bunch of glue down because this glue is great. And did you see it's not in the center? Maybe I want it in the center, maybe I want it off. It's up to you. I'll go in the center a little more. Let me drag my glue. Make sure there's lots of glue. I'm going to let it sit, and then my next one was, which one was I doing? This mountain, or the, is that right? Yeah, the mountain. So this is going to be the hard part, is matching where I want this and how big that circle is. Now this one, I have to pick which way I want it. It's very hard. Put it down. My furry one. I might have to look underneath. Yep, we're good. Ooh, this is a nice tiled column. If you want to make bigger columns, you can. That's okay. Next is my swirly one, my dizzy one. Definitely more glue on that one. Now it's staying, I'm being very, very gentle with this, so this is good practice on being patient. And then my last piece. Now we'll definitely have to come back after these are dry and see how it looks.